Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
He's at the 20.
They should stop this one.
Domination! Snot bubbles!
He throws. Complete. Touchdown. They've got him again. They've got him again. Sack Crumpler. What a throw. What a hit. What a catch.
Defense is just way too much for the count.
It's caught by Alshon Jeffrey for a touchdown. He pushes. Touchdown. Jalen Hurts. Touchdown. A.J. Brown. A run. He's going to score.
It's a touchdown by Nick Foles. The train is in the end zone.
Touchdown.
Torrey Smith in for the touchdown is Jefferson.
In. Touchdown. Jalen Hurts.
So the Birds are facing some injuries that I didn't cover yesterday, and also the upcoming starters and cuts that I think are very interesting. And the Birds just got some very bad injury news as the second-year wide receiver Johnny Wilson will undergo season-ending ankle surgery this week. And this is what some is calling a massive blow to the Birds receiver room. And I gotta agree, because Wilson was very much been putting it together. He's very much been putting it together this year in camp, and he was really set to have a big year this season. In addition to the outstanding blocking that Johnny Wilson brought, he had a great week 1 preseason game, and the wide receiver room was looking like it was going to be a group of dogs. But the room still is filled with massive talent with Darius Cooper, Smitty, A.J. Brown, and Jahan Dotson. I just got to say, it's a massive gut punch with this injury news. And I guess the question as to why the Birds went and got John Mechie from the Texans has now been answered. And Howie Roseman, man, this is a reason why we call him the Wizard. And with Kelee Ringo seen not practicing in the last days of camp, reports haven't came out about any injury news. Suddenly he has an quad injury. So for Kelee Ringo, as I've said in my last videos, the Birds have now given up on Ringo in camp. And many are saying this might be similar to the Brian Robinson situation in Washington, where a guy who the Commanders are looking to trade but still haven't traded yet, not practicing in camp. And I don't think the Birds are going to trade Ringo because I can't see a valuable trade for Ringo. Like, what team is out there right now saying we want Kelee Ringo and are banging their fist on the table to get him? I mean, maybe I might be wrong, but no one in my opinion. And knowing Howie Roseman, who doesn't give up quickly on his draft picks, I think Ringo will stick around just a bit longer. And that's not saying he's going to be the week 1 starter against the Cry Girls or anything, no. But the Birds are going to need him for special teams. And similar to James Bradberry, I think after the 2023 season, when last season Bradberry didn't see the field really at all, and in camp he was quote-unquote dealing with an injury when the Birds had really already knew where they were heading, and it was in a different direction. And at that cornerback position, acquiring Cooper DeJean and Quillion Mitchell, Bradberry kind of seen the writing on the wall. And by the end of the season, the Birds are definitely going to be looking in the draft at that cornerback 2 spot. I think if Jacorian Bennett, even if Jacorian Bennett does play out, I think the Birds are still going to be looking in a different direction, just as far as the draft for the cornerback 2. And how we would have probably either traded or released Ringo by early June. Hell, maybe before that, seeing as though Ringo's cap hit is like $1.2 million in 2025. So it's not going to be much to get rid of him, but I don't think they're going to do it right now because this season coming up, you still need him for that depth in the cornerback room and special teams, as I said before. Now, there's also been some reports about Azeez Ojulari getting traded. Jeff Kerr reported that Ojulari might be on the chopping block. I don't think so because we've seen Ojulari putting it together in the last weeks of camp. Also, this is a guy that Howie went out and got to replace guys like Josh Sweat. You know, the edge rusher position in Philadelphia this season is going to be very, very important. I don't think Howie is looking to cut anyone right now at that position because the depth, and you need that performance, even though he hasn't shown up in camp. We've seen this already this season, like 2 weeks ago with Johnny Wilson, even though he's hurt now. 2 weeks ago, we were saying we might be out with Johnny Wilson, like he might be out as far as his performance in camp, and the reports that were coming out of camp saying that, you know, he wasn't catching anything, he wasn't catching the balls, and he wasn't really seeing it. And then when we got in the preseason games against the Bengals, he had a spectacular performance. So I don't think Ojulari's performance in camp should be the reason why we move on from him. He's been pretty good in the last weeks also of camp, the last couple of days also. Ojulari has been putting it together. I think him and Uche are going to be those two guys that we really need to step up in that edge rusher role, seeing as though Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, guys like that have left. That defensive line in itself is going to be a very important role, and he's going to be a prominent player if he can, I don't know, 6 to 7, maybe 8 sacks for Ojulari would be a big year for him. Some pressures, and the same goes for Josh Uche. Now, early in the video, I said Brian Robinson hadn't been traded yet, and that was before he hadn't. But now he has to the 49ers for a 2026 6th-round pick, sources tell ESPN, Adam Schefter reported. So just a correction there. Now, this was just a quick, 5-minute video going over some of the things that I didn't get to go over yesterday and covering some of the cuts that could reportedly be happening. So that was something that I wanted to go over. Also, thanks for watching. Once again, be blessed and go Birds.